YouTube! What the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in the Sassanid campaign. And I actually forgot to save my game last time, so I've replayed just a little bit, and I'm saving it now. That's pretty typical of me sometimes to forget to save my game, unfortunately, but it does happen. Not a whole lot different. I think I'm like one turn behind where I was, and the next few videos that you see on my, or say the next few days worth of videos on my channel, I'm going to be commentating these after I recorded it because, again, I made a boneheaded mistake. My microphone was disabled in the recording software because I had been recording Homeworld with it turned off because I didn't comment it live and I forgot to turn it back on and recorded a whole big slew of videos all at once. Again, yes, very smart. And that's why it is this way, so I'll be commenting it afterwards. But basically I'm just checking through all my settlements. While I'm doing this, you can watch what I'm doing here. But I wanted to remind you all, if you want to go vote on which campaign you want to see me do next, I'm going to address that a little bit here. I want to say I set it up in 13. It was episode 13. I'll link to it if I'm wrong. Just click the link in the comments. Go there and vote for which faction you want to see me do next. The factions that I set up are basically set up in such a way that, and I'll go ahead and answer right away, Rome is not included in those factions, either Roman faction. You might be, why won't you play the Romans? They're the hardest. They're the most fun. I'm saving them. So whenever Rome 2 came out, I played Carthage right away and got bit in the rear over it because it was supposed to be the most epic campaign that I could do on Rome 2, except the game wasn't finished. They patched a bunch of stuff. It changed, and it basically made the campaign drop and crash a lot, and I never got to finish it the way that I wanted to. Now, I don't think that Attila's in that kind of shape, but that's why I swore that I wasn't going to do Roman campaigns first, because I see those as being the most fun, the most challenging. So I'm saving them to make sure that I understand where the long-term future of Attila, or when it settles in. I'm not going to wait forever. They won't be forever down the road, and I am going to do both of them. In fact, I'd love to do an Eastern and a Western Roman campaign, just to kind of see how they play out. So don't worry about it. I'll get to them. So the options don't include that. And when we get to that point, I'll let you know. I did offer up migratory factions, and I also offered up the Huns. I offered up the Franks as a barbarian nation, and then I've also offered up not the Langobards. It was the Burgundians. So I have some options in there for factions that start off settled, some that start off migrating. I threw the Vandals in there as an option because, as some of you have suggested, and I agree, it'd be really cool to play as the Vandals and go try and reclaim Carthage, since I am the heir of Carthage, you know, so to speak. So the Vandals would be a fun one. All these options are in there, and I'm happy to do any of those options that I put up for you. What if one of those options isn't what I want? Well, don't worry about it. There's going to be plenty of campaigns. I realize that so far I've been showing you nothing but Sassanid campaign, which is great. I love this campaign. It's a lot of fun. However, this campaign is a lot different than the other ones in the game. It's a lot easier. You're seeing me like just face roll the enemy on this. Some of the other ones are going to be a lot more challenging. This was a good way for me to get in and kind of learn a little bit about the mechanics of campaign, play a faction that I enjoy, and get to show you some campaign. I don't want to do too many campaigns at once so I can keep up with them. In this particular one, though, it's been, I think, a little too slow, so I want to start a couple of campaigns soon. I'm trying to get this one to that finishing point that I mentioned to you, so we'll get it there. But yes, the other campaigns I want to do a couple at a time, so it gives you more variety. So whenever you go and vote, I'm going to look at which ones have the most votes. But I may still make a decision based on the fact that, like, maybe the two that got the highest votes were both very similar migratory factions or something. I would pick one of those factions and then maybe one other one that'll be a little bit different, so you'll get to see that. So definitely go vote. I'm going to take that into account. The only reason I might change it is for what I just said there, just to make sure that I don't end up doing two of the exact same thing. And I'm going to save the Sassanid campaign. Something I've been considering doing is getting some live streams going again. I haven't done any in a long time, and I really need to. I like getting in there and interacting with you all. I have a new computer desk on the way that's going to give me room to open up both my screens, which will be great for live streaming because I can keep the comments rolling on one screen and the game on the other, so that hopefully I can have some fun and interact and let you all help me make campaign decisions. So that's something I'm hoping to get started. Keep an eye out for it the next couple of weeks, and the Sassanid campaign would be a good example of maybe where we come back to it during one of those live streams. So I get attacked here by some East Roman rebels in a couple of different spots. One's at Iconium, and neither place where I get attacked am I going to be able to defend. So I'm going to have to go ahead and give up these 2 settlements to the East Romans. At Iconium, they go ahead and capture my city from me. But I mean, I have an army nearby that'll be able to take it back. So I just go ahead and run a protective stance, see if I get lucky. I do not. As expected, the Romans kill me. And they're going to take Iconium back temporarily, at least. Obviously, I mean to get retribution for that. And they also get me at whatever this place is. Can't pronounce that. But they're going to attack me here. And the crazy thing is there's another faction nearby. And you'll get to see what happens here on the turn end. Pretty sure this is where it happens. I played a lot of campaign today, so hopefully I remember right. But there's some other of my enemies that are near these Romans. So got a whole bunch of rebellion imminent and all this other kind of stuff. And apparently some of my guys were drunk on watch, but I don't even think I take notice of it. I did start another army up there in Tyre as well. Yeah, so anyway, Eastern Romans currently in control of my other province, which makes me mad because that's a place that I want, because the fertile land of the Nile Valley here is going to provide me with a whole lot of needed food and revenue from agriculture. So I'm obviously going to go do something about it. So I got Bahram here, he's my king, and we're going to take him back up here and smash these rebels. There are more Eastern rebels, and again, I keep hoping that they'll beat down my client state who's taking Alexandria. I would have liked to have been in control of Alexandria, but if I'm not, it'll be okay. They're my puppet state, so it's... And up here we actually wounded this enemy agent again. We've wounded that agent several times. Gonna come back down to Iconium and quickly retake it. Roman dogs. So yeah, we'll pretty much be able to retrain that a little bit. So just gonna fix my structures here. We got to repair stuff in Iconium, and then at Tarsus I need to get a lot of this stuff. I may have done this in the other video, I don't remember, but we're pretty much caught up here. I think I end up putting the military jetties in there because I think it'd be fun to build a fleet. I really haven't built much of a fleet yet. And then I'm building some of these structures to help spread Zoroastrianism a little bit, as I think I'm getting some issues due to unrest caused by different religions. It's not terrible, but it does make an impact. And you can of course use your overview map to check all that. I'm also going to end up building an infantry quarters here so that I can train some Dialamite warriors, because I haven't really used them too much. Bahram's army has some, but I've just been using Armenian spears in my other armies because the enemy doesn't really have a good answer to it. They don't have infantry that can chop through my Armenian spears so fast that they won't get rear charged by my cataphracts. And that's one of the powers of the Sassanids. They don't start or even end with very good infantry, but they start off with cataphracts, and right away they're very, very deadly to enemy infantry. So in campaign, the Sassanids do very well against their foes early on, and potentially could do so even late game, just since the AI is not as good as a person who might be commanding a faction that should otherwise be able to provide a beatdown to the Sassanids. So I'm just looking at the building browser here, trying to remember where the veterans get recruited from, because I've done a poor job, and I actually find out that it's from here. The champions come from the palace, which I haven't done all the research for yet. So it's something I need to get researched. So yeah, that's what I was just kind of reminding myself what all these different buildings did. I love the new building browser. It's actually very nice. It's too bad they couldn't retrofit some of this stuff into Rome too. It'd be very nice to see it back in there. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and tear down the buildings that I don't need, and go ahead and build some that I do. I am going to have one military structure there, but I'm also going to throw in some sanitation and like a courthouse as well. So that's what I go ahead and convert that one to a courthouse. So I get Tarsus in the type of shape that I need, so we're pretty much good there. The Romans do have one more settlement at Myra in Asia Minor, so potentially I'm going to need to take that from them. Always checking back here at Cath because it's way out of the way. I just want to make sure that I don't neglect it here and end up causing something stupid. Yeah, so I'm just kind of considering whether or not to build these buildings at the moment. I think I decided to go ahead and convert it over to this noble estate because it gives me more public order boost. And I want to make it to where I can take that army and leave Cath, and I want to drop back through one of my other provinces where I'm building a stables, a horse stables, where I can get full speed upgrades, and also I can train some camel raiders and other units out of that province. So I'm wanting to drop back through there with that army and kind of re-equip them with better troops, so that we have a little more unique army to take back over to the front lines. So it ought to be something kind of fun to get done with. The mercenary Savarans, and you'll see some of them in, if not this episode, soon. I have some of them in my armies. They all have Parthian shot, and it's so frustrating that the Savaran cavalry that the Sassanids have in multiplayer does not have Parthian shot. It would give the Sassanids a much needed tool, because they are very expensive, and they would still be difficult to use, but it would help them so much to have something like that. The Savaran cav is a little too slow, in my opinion. It seems like it ought to be much faster. It's crossbow cav, they could be riding light. It's not like they're carrying a heavy lance and armor and all that other stuff, so I haven't really figured out why they made the crossbow cav so dang slow. So there was a rebellion in Syria, which is no big deal. And then look, this is where I get freaked out and mad, because the stupid faction down here trashed my city right before Bahram could retake it, which I'm not going to lie, it was very timely and very smart of the AI, actually, because now it's going to cost me like 9,000 talents. Now, fortunately, I'm crazy rich in this campaign, and so the AI can stuff it, but it takes about half my army to colonize it too, and now I got to retrain those soldiers who are helping to colonize. So, and I've got to go through the rebuild process. So that was extremely annoying of the AI to do, and I can't build this until I repair the town center. So annoying and effective all at the same time. Like I said, unfortunately the AI made a pretty smart move there, irritatingly so. Dang, man, it just ticks me off. I'm going to go ahead though and keep upgrading the wheat farms and the other stuff here so that we can try and settle this province in a little bit. It's going to be fluctuating as far as public order for quite a while. Yeah, I was thinking, I think what I was mentioning here is it might be fun to get out for me and try and take Cyprus if I get a fleet, and then also Rhodes and Crete. So it's something that I've considered. Iconium, I kind of have to stay there. I was thinking about leaving, but I was like, it's winter attrition. Let's just wait it out, take my spy, and see if anything else is over here. I don't actually want to perform any actions on the settlement, just kind of looking around. And there's nothing that I really need to do right now. I've got some Armenian spearmen here, and I was going to jump out and see if we could smash those guys real quick. These are some rebels, and we do get to come out here and put an end to them. So those Roman rebels are beaten down.
Next command, my lord. We fight for you, my lord.
So yeah, Tyrus, that little army that I put in there has come in handy, just because there's going to be some rebellions in this area. Nova Trajana Bostra, it's going to need some help as well. I'm just being a little bit careful about what I upgrade, because in the wintertime my food's getting a little, not like low, but it's getting a little low. But at the same time, the public order here is eventually going to turn against me if I don't do something. And I'm just looking at the palace and some of the other stuff. I was trying to remember where it gets researched at. It's actually this one. I'm busy researching the fully upgraded wheat farms, which would come in handy if I could build them. It's going to give me quite a lot of extra food producing power. And I'll be kind of focused in on food producing in the Nile Valley and also at the Tigris and the Euphrates. So that's going to be my main focus. I was thinking here between the public baths and the wind catcher. The public baths will do me better here because it spreads some sanitation to all regions in the province. And then I go ahead and go for the, I think it's the training grounds, because eventually it leads to the royal barracks. But yeah, you can see that the next one down this tree gets me Dialemite warriors, which will be handy indeed. I kind of like how the military training works in Attila. It's a little different. It's not so basic as it was in, say, like the original Rome or Barbarian Invasion, where it's like build an archery range, build the stables, build all this stuff. And maybe some people like that. And I'm not trashing that. It's like there's different buildings, especially for the barbarian tribes in Attila. I find it very interesting. You will need to, say, like build an agricultural horse breeding building, and you'll be able to train some horses from it. Build a carpenter, and you'll be able to make better bows. Just all that kind of stuff I actually find really interesting, the way that they put it together, and I kind of like it. It creates a little bit more dynamic building scenarios and kind of makes you want to build different farm buildings rather than the same one every time. I also like that about how they've made it with the Sassanids too, where the wheat farms, if you get them in a fertile area, you can make ridiculous bunches of food off of them. But then you got that camel farm option where it's like, okay, maybe the land is not really fertile, but we can throw this camel farm in here and get a little bit of food and some nice income off of it, one way or the other. So definitely like how those things have changed. It's very nice features actually. So it's something that I really enjoy in the campaign of Attila. And I have to admit, it does sadden me that some of the things that you can do in Attila can't or won't be taken back to Rome 2. I don't know whether it's can't or won't or both. But at the same time, I'm glad it's here. I'm glad they've added it. And I do find the campaigns on Attila, other than the Sassanid campaign for the most part, to be very challenging and very interesting. Egypt is trying to extort some money out of me because they're poor and weak. And I have 270,000 talents basically up there in my treasury, and my income is going to be climbing fast, especially as I continue to upgrade buildings. So one thing I did was I kicked, let's see, Bahram is, this guy's one of the Sassanid Empire. I've got some folks who are creating problems for me basically. I do need to raise another army here, and I was considering whether I wanted to put him in one, and I don't think I'm going to. Or yeah, I do go ahead and raise an army with. Never mind, I'm thinking about something that happens later. Sorry, my bad. So we raised the army with Bahram. I grabbed some, basically just a whole bunch of different mercenaries. I mean, definitely take the Svar and Cav mercenaries whenever you get a chance. They're good, and I think I just end up recruiting all the mercenaries that are here, basically. Because it's like, whatever, I'm making 27,000 talents a turn. I don't think it's going to hurt me to just have some mercenaries sitting around so that I can quickly build this army. And then if I want to, I can add some Armenian spears to them. But it was basically to keep these guys from being able to get back to my city and taking it. Because I was worried they'd come in there and raze it to the ground like they did my other city. But Bahram's not exactly a good leader for an army. He's got, we're not talking about my king, we're talking about the other Bahram who's there in Baroness, or Berenice, however you say that, whatever it is. Anyway, it's going to be a problem because his integrity for the army is going to be poor. I'm just checking all the sanitation here to understand whether or not I can continue to do upgrades. I shouldn't have canceled that either. I remember whenever I did this, I was like, wait a minute, why did I cancel it? I think I ended up redoing it. That was stupid. I just lost like a turn or two of construction. Anyway, so I think I spend quite a bit of time in this episode going through my buildings and just trying to make sure that I get some good buildings going. I want to get some agents recruited, like some priest. And then I also want to eventually get that palace unlocked so I can recruit champions. Just a few different things that I'm wanting to get done. And here I realize that I can go ahead and probably take Senata, Nada, or whatever that place is called over there to my left, or to the west, I should say. So I come over and take care of it with an easy auto resolve because there was no real resistance going on there. Yeah, in any case, we got those knocked out. I'm going to use my agent again to try and go after the same Roman priest who just keeps coming back for more. And we've wounded him yet again. Looks like there's some stuff that I can rebuild in Nicomedia, but yeah, so we can mark that for demolition, the old desolate area. So Nicomedia is turning around and should be a nice province for us eventually. And then, of course, just double checking that I got everything in Egypt. So I kind of over and double check a few things here, but you know, it's probably best for me to make sure that I don't forget anything. Just making sure everything's good and ready and set before I go into turn in. And then I think I realized that I can build an extra building here. We have undeveloped land, and I do need more public order. So I go into here and just kind of think about maybe what I should build in its place. and I'm considering the burial platform, I guess, and just kind of looking at some of the other options that I have. This one obviously adds more public order. So it looks like that's the one I end up choosing. Gonna use a little more food, but my food situation ought to be getting better. Chase off some more rebels down here, but then I'm just gonna turn around and go back to Tyrus and let my puppet states take care of them. My puppet states have been fairly beastly so far in this campaign. They've done a great job. We'll just take care of these assigned skills. Whenever it's a governor that's not in my faction, I tend to not care a whole lot. I do look at some of those. I start them off with those first two all the time, though, because it gives them a public order boost. Here, this is my spy, or inspector, as they call them here, and I'm looking at some of the different traits that get unlocked by these different skills. So I'm trying to just unlock some more capabilities. There's extort and gather intelligence, so I go ahead and make sure those are unlocked. I kind of like the way the agents level up better in this game too, so I feel like there's definitely some nice improvements that I'm enjoying a campaign. It'll be fun to go into a challenging campaign, let's say like a migratory faction and eventually the Romans, and watch how some of these things play out. And you know, it can either help you or it can add to your struggles, some of these extra features. East Romans coming in here, I don't know, screwing around with Egypt or something. Not sure what they're doing, but they ought to be careful. Egypt's got a pretty nice little stack there. Those guys just basically run off because they realize what I've done with my mercenaries, and they don't want any part of that. And then the Romans get beaten back. Yeah, and again, a lot of these folks moving here are my client states. I'm always curious to see too if the Magyars come back after the beating that I gave them the first time. Realized my mercenary recruitment cost just went up, which is kind of crappy too. Yeah, this is where I see the stables, and the stables is fine, but I'm not sure what else I need here at the moment. I think I go ahead and convert this to something more useful. I was kind of seeing what, yeah, the camel herd is going to end up being a good choice because I don't think the fertility is all that great in that province. Camel herd is a solid choice for the Sassanids whenever you don't have good fertility. It's going to give you the most food you can get out of a different type of building, essentially. I think they fully upgraded camel herds like 130 food. It's really not bad at all. So we need to come over here and siege Ephesus. It's kind of the last large Roman city left in Asia Minor. So I've got it sieged. Tarsus is turning around nicely. Need to get this Tower of Silence built. This is cool because it spreads sanitation to the rest of the province as well, which really helps offset farms and workshops and military buildings, all that kind of stuff that can potentially add to squalor eventually. The lower level military buildings, they'll just use a little bit of food, so it's actually not that bad. I love the campaign music too. They got some cool campaign music. Let's see. So yeah, I'm just checking through everything again here. I think I decided to just go ahead and upgrade these things because I need the extra growth, even though I'm a little worried about using up all my food. But the extra growth helps that stuff, helps you be able to tear down the old desolate buildings faster. You need growth to help reopen the desolate sites, basically. So getting extra growth in an area that was once desolate is definitely necessary whenever you're trying to improve it. So I'm just looking here. I see Axiom to the south of me, and I'm thinking about kind of pushing up and seeing if I can catch these guys off guard. There's no more mercenaries for me to hire, so I'm just going to go ahead and march down here. And then I realized that I just marched my one of my family members down here. His unit's already half dead for whatever reason, and he's going to get killed here. So I retreat, and then I realize, you know what, I can't get away from these guys. Now they're going to kill me. So I think I end up going in, reloading from the last turn in, and just taking care of some of this stuff over again, because I was like, I really don't want to get my family member killed. I've gotten a couple of them killed already So I don't do this very often, but I do go ahead and go back and reload. To be honest, if you're playing your own campaign and you find yourself doing this every now and then, I don't think there's anything wrong with it if you make a mistake like that. If you abuse it like crazy, I guess some people would say that that's not very fair, but you know, it's your game and you're playing it the way you want, so I don't see who cares. So this takes us back to the last turn end. So like I said, this will be repeating a little bit here because I had to go back. We'll end the turn. Everything pretty much ends the same. Eastern Romans begging me for peace, and I'm not obliging them. Here's those Roman fleets down here as well. So many client states. That's the crazy thing that gets hard whenever you're not playing a campaign like the Sassanids, is every faction has like 2 armies, even if they have like one crappy little settlement. And it gets so hard. And it's like you can see my puppet states. Most of them don't own much, and they have to pay me a large tribute. And they still just run around everywhere with stacks. So I keep rejecting Egypt, who's trying to extort me for money. I say extort me, not really extort me. I say that. They're not actually trying to extort me in the game. They're asking me for military alliances and stuff like that, which, why would I do that? They don't have any strength, so it doesn't make any sense for me to ally with them militarily. So it's not something I'm interested in. I go ahead and start training some Armenian spears this time, and I'm like, you know what, let's just go ahead and beef up this army so that we can eventually move south. We need to get those enemies off our border. It's going to be important for me too, at least. And then I'm just going back through and redoing some of the stuff that I had already done, obviously. And I'm not doing it in a super efficient manner, to be honest. But we'll be getting it done. I forget to rebuild the Tower of Silence there, which was great. I do remember to go back and re-siege Ephesus.
Your next command, my lord.
So getting my siege towers ready. And then checking out at Cath again to remember what I did out here. And I think that I upgraded that, of course. And then, yeah, Tarsus Iconium. Again, I still think I forget to rebuild the Tower of Silence there, but I get to it eventually, so it's not a big deal. It's obviously nothing that's going to make or break the game right at this moment. Nicomedia, I can kind of boost up a little bit more now too, which is going to be nice. And I go with fishing jetties there just to help boost my food supply. My food supply is not crazy low, it's a little worrying. Old Jotman here has got quite a bit of influence going on. He may have to get put on my kill list, kind of like I did that Yazgerud or whatever the guy's name is. I don't remember. I'll call him Yaz. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Romans again begging me for peace and offering me money, but I mean, hey, you're offering me 4,000 talents when I have nearly 300,000. So I don't see how that's really a drop in the bucket to get me convinced. And then what would I even do? I mean, I've already got this much money and can't use it all. Give me some more, and what difference does it make? Never realized how much more detailed that campaign map looks when you get up close to it. The trees look very nice. I do have a complaint about Attila, something that I disagree with what the Creative Assembly does. And don't get me wrong, I like them a lot. I've worked with them on a lot of projects. Will, Craig, Pete, like a whole bunch of the other guys at CA. Oh man, I'm trying to remember. CA Dave, awesome guy there too. Lots of great folks at CA, even if I didn't call their name out now. I like them, but this is just like a genuine kind of complaint that I want to throw out here as well. The game, supposedly we've been told, like, I can run it on nearly extreme settings, not quite. And then I want to say Maximus was doing a test on like 980 SLI, and still couldn't run it on extreme at more than like 20 frames a second, which is terrible. And optimization, whatever you want to call it, I think the answer supposedly that I heard, and if this isn't true, then please correct me, was that they said the game was actually designed to run on extreme with future cards. I take exception to that. The game isn't going to be released in the future. It's being released now. And, you know, in the future, like a year or two later, whenever those cards come out, most people have passed this game by and are looking at the new Total War titles or another game. So, in my mind, if indeed that was the case and it was designed for future cards, I don't understand that reasoning, and I don't like it. Design the game for what's out at the time so that it becomes clear to folks what you can do. I mean, it's not like I'm miffed over it, but I mean, I bought a new graphics card to run this game, and it runs it very well. I'm not disappointed in that, but you know, when you go out and buy a 970, spend like $300 some, you do expect the game to run on extreme. And so again, it's not something that's ruining the gameplay for me or making me like bitter to some extent that I can't stand it. It's a bit frustrating. So I would think as a fan, the only thing I'm saying there is that going forward, don't do that. If you can release the game now, make it work with graphics cards now. And if it's not because it's necessarily designed for the future but needs optimization, then let's just go down the road and say it needs to be optimized. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to be mean or make any other accusations. I'm just stating what it looks like as a customer to go through that experience. So hopefully it's feedback that can be used, and I think it's legitimate. So in any case, I wanted to take a look at the religion, just to kind of see what the mixture looks like. This is where I go ahead and decide to try and make sure that Zoroastrianism is continuing to spread. And you can see that it's actually mixed, obviously, across all my provinces. It's Manichaeism, or whatever that is, intermixed with Zoroastrianism here. And those are kind of my home province, which that's fine. There's really nothing hurting me there. And you can see that it's mixed with Greek Christian up here. And again, in Syria, it's mixed with Greek Christian. That's because these are all East Roman lands, so there's a lot of Greek Christian influence there that has to be changed if I want to change it. So that's something that I'm going to have to keep working on. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking through and seeing what's going on in these different provinces. I'm going to try and get some priests recruited. I did one, and we'll try and spread more Zoroastrian influence and see if maybe that helps kind of get everything settled in the province as well. It's not like we're having crazy rebellions or anything, but it's just something that I wanted to take a look at. And here, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to go ahead and push the research to the palace, which is going to end up taking like 18 turns or something in total. It's a lot. And so then I decided, you know what, I haven't done a whole lot of military stuff, so maybe we should go after elite Dialamite warriors or something like that might be kind of fun, since I haven't done a whole lot of military research. So I go ahead and stick with the military research for now, just because it seems like I haven't gone down that road too much. Anyway, it's at this point I realize that I'm pretty much out of time for this episode. I do apologize that I'm having to do the commentating afterwards, but hey, it gives me a chance to kind of have a fun chat with you and not have to play at the same time. HeirofCarthage signing.